Hey, Bree. Yeah, it's on. I'll tell you when you get in. Bye.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all?
I'm all
Hi,
right.
Gina. Hello.
Hi. Bree called. I was like a minute late. I opened up the front door to see what hurricane stuffy was going on and just to like look at it for a minute. And it's just, okay, this sounds really bad. It feels really good to be home, but and standing out there and I'm like, it's warm, it's windy, and it's raining, but it's not like pouring. It's not, it's just warm, windy, and rainy. I'm like, that's not so bad. It's better than cold, windy, and rainy.
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got to tell you, driving home, as soon as we hit Houston and got out of the car, it was like, I don't know, 78 degrees or something like that, but it was steamy, right? And I was like, oh, it feels so good. I hate cold. I hate it. I don't like it. Ugh, and Vegas is dry, like really dry. Like you just feel like your skin's just cracking all over. And people are like, oh, I love the warm desert. And I love the warm desert too. I really do. I really like wet. I really do. I'm a sick puppy, but it feels good. Feels good on the joints, Hey, Bree, I was enjoying my outside looking at the hurricane, tornado, whatever the hell this is, weather storm, just looking at the storm, kind of enjoying it. And then I was like, I'm pretty sure it's time to start the meeting. I'm pretty sure you should go sit down and turn on your computer. So that's all. Oh, let's hear some good stuff. What do you guys got?
Termite inspection passed. I've got to wait for the water.
Yay! Look at you. This is from the same woman that, a month or two ago was like, I never know what to say for the good news part and never had it until, 9:01. So nice, Kathy.
I try. It
Yes,
doesn't always work.
doesn't matter. It's good stuff. What else you guys got? Let's get Bree first because Bree's in the middle of a yawn and we lose her.
Good news, good news. I've got 3 buyers that have re-engaged. So I'm gonna work on getting them pre-approved. Found another loan product from another bank that does portfolio loans that has an expanded radius as far as location. So I got one of my buyers, another one of my buyers pre-approved with them. So they've got $15,000 in a closing cost assistance.
Wow. Hey, Bree, you weren't on the meeting last night, right?
No.
You need to watch the recording because they specifically highlighted Clarksville.
Oh.
And a program that one of our agents has on the team where they can identify properties at 70% ARV, like that. Like literally like this, like you put in the criteria into the computer, click go, bam.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Yep, watch it, hook up with him. It works in your area. I think that's going to be another good thing to add to your toolbox. Cool. And do you have a list of all this stuff or you just keep it on your head? Because my head would spin.
It's not, it's on, I need to compile it. It's on different.
All right. Okay, Mr. Craig up there, who I think is frozen. I picked purposely picked Bree first because of the frozen issue. And now Craig, who looks like he has rubber ducky on his shoulder, is frozen. All right.
Here's some other good news.
Oh, Craig's unfrozen. Okay, Bree, you go.
Okay.
You go, Bree.
So I hit my son's car backing out of the driveway. And then when I thought I put it in drive, I put it in neutral. No, I thought I put it in park. I put it in neutral and it almost hit the car port and knocked it out. Good news, no damage to my son's car. And the baby was in the car when it went away. I was able to stop it before it went away.
Nice.
Yeah, I was wondering where the good news part was.
I know. I hit my kid's car and I'm like, I know you had issues with your child the other day, but I don't know.
This is a different car. So I slammed into his car, and then I went to put it back in the other way. It was still in. It went forward, and the baby was in the car, and I was halfway out the car. But everybody's good. No dents.
Yay. That's a huge thing. That's a big, huge yay. So congratulations. Morning, PF. Hey, let's get Craig's good news. Is that a rubber ducky on your shoulder? What is up there? Or
No,
chicken?
that's a towel.
Okay.
Yeah, a towel from working out. So
All right.
I stopped by the grocery store and I'm preparing to get my stuff out of my truck before I go in the house.
Okay.
So my good news is my commercial buyer that was looking between the 1.5 and 3 million.
Mhm.
Actually have a property that I think he and his group are gonna be interested in. Is 35 million,
Mhm.
but it's owner finance. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Wow.
so and it's a 8% cap rate.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm pitching that to him this morning and got my fingers crossed that they'll take that deal.
All right. Cool beans. We will cross all of our fingers and toes for you too.
That's great.
Thanks.
Yep. All right. Hey, or PF, what's some good news?
I finished that spreadsheet and now I have to do is like read it so I can understand it and then kind of like get my head wrapped around and start paring down like, I've been spending $300 in groceries a month and I'm single.
Inflation,
What's up with that?
inflation.
Well,
I also am doing, go ahead, PF.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. You're talking.
Oh, it is. I think it's, it's more like I double buy food. I don't check my pantry. I don't check my freezer. I think, oh, I want to eat salmon tonight. So I buy salmon. And then it's like, oh, I already have frozen salmon. Oh, I already had that. Oh, so yeah. So it's things like that.
I have a question then. Does your pantry need to get organized?
Yes.
Here's why I asked this. So I've moved my mother-in-law, I don't know, 3 times, I think. Yeah, I think 3 times. Anyway, the last time was over here into this house, out of her old house in Washington State. And every single time I move her, I am like, how the hell does she have stuff that's expired? Like canned goods expire like, in, I don't know, 2099 or something. I mean, it's crazy. And she always has a pile of stuff expired. And so every single time I move her, I throw piles of stuff out. And I'm like, how do you not know this? Well, okay, she lives with me now. And now I completely understand because it all just gets piled in one place. And it makes me crazy because my pantry is completely organized, right? I mean, it's completely organized. It always is. We always know what there is and all that kind of stuff. So, but I came home after we gone for 6, whatever, however many weeks I've been gone, 6, 7 weeks. And my pantry is all piled and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, so yeah.
Not like my pantry. Yeah, I just push it in places when it's like, oh, it fits here, it fits there.
We have
yeah.
bins. This is how sick I am. We have bins and everything is completely set up into different bins and organized that way so that like all the canned goods are here and all of this is that. And, soups are here and this are here. And then I live with 2 people who, I don't know, it was like she went through the Great Depression or something. She did not. Who just buys massive canned goods that she never uses. And then my husband who was raised by her. I'm like, no. So I also am cleaning out my pantry this weekend.
Oh, gee, now I have to put that on my list.
Not to add, but Kay, what's your good news, darling?
My good news, I guess, let's see. I'm in a funk this morning, so I'm got to get out of my funk. I've got a showing on Branch Road at 9:30, and they seem very insistent about seeing it. So we'll see.
Very cool. That's your people that have been like hounding you to see it.
No, those are not, these are not, that's another group that's on Friday.
Oh,
So this
okay.
is the new one.
Cool.
No, I changed how I presented the property and I presented it as, actually I put cash only and I put investor property and I just went at it that way instead of as a multi-generational and seems to be getting some traction. So we'll see.
Love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Because I love that the very fact that you didn't change property
Mm-mm.
and you tightened down the terms, cash only. And that's what's working. So that is very cool. That is very, very cool.
Yeah, and then I had one person that asked me, would he consider conventional financing? I said, well, it depends on the offer.
I love it. I love it, love it. So yesterday, as we were going out, PF asked me or said something about, hey, what were you going to say? And my husband, after I cleared out the Zoom, my husband goes, they never heard a word you said. You know that, don't you? And I was so out of it yesterday. I was really, really, really out of it. And he goes, all that stuff, he goes, they were all frozen. And I'm like, yeah, but he goes, no, you were the problem. They couldn't see you. But from my end, what my experience was, which was a very cool experience, all y'all were frozen, but you were all frozen with the most beautiful smiles on your face, every single person, which is, I don't even know how you guys do that because there was, I don't know, 8 of us or whatever there was yesterday, 7 or 8 of us. And if I get frozen, it's always some god awful, who knows what thing that's frozen on there, but you guys are all frozen. They smile. I'm like, oh, y'all are what make it so great here because you guys bring everything that you guys do and the interaction that goes back and forth where I just say that like a lot of times just turn on the computer and just sit back and drink my coffee and, let you guys do it all. So that's what I was going to say is that this group is so great and it's because you guys are so great. So there you go, PF.
Oh, thank you. And I think that we were smiling because of what you were telling us.
Ah, and I still have the net worth tracker, which I'll get out to everybody. And then I've got the podcast, which I'll get out to you guys also. I'll just put you guys up on the, so you get the weekly thing automatically. And I don't know, it's like 6 or 8 of them, I think that you'll just get automatically every week. Okay. So who's got what that they want to dig into? Who's got challenges? Who's got stuff going on?
Well, I'm trying to find money. If anybody has any ideas about that.
I do, but how do you guys, have you guys done cash searches or where you're actually looking for investors who want to put cash in to where it's that type of investing? They're not buying the property. They're giving you the cash for you to buy the property. No one's
Right.
done that? I've done that.
I've done that.
Yeah, I've done that before too.
Yep. What'd you do, Kathy?
Well, it was when I was still in Fortune Builders
Mhm.
and reached out through that, but because you were always trying to build that network of people who wanted to invest. And you just started with that, but they always wanted to know what all the details were of the deal, much like, all those forms, Kay.
Perspectives.
That was the first thing. They
Mhm.
want to
So
know
you
the numbers.
perspectives, and then you looked for money. Okay, so that's definitely one way to do it is to have your perspective completely built. So, and what Kelly's talking about is literally you identify the property, you're going to get it and flip it. You're going to, or buy and hold or whatever it is.
Yeah, or whatever.
Whatever, right? So let's use a flip for an example, since it's an easy one. Even though the market right now is much better for buy and
And
hold.
that's when you have the secondary exit.
Exactly. So you put together we're going to buy this property. Yes, your secondary exit is that we're going to keep it and rent it. If we can't flip it, this is what we're going to do. We're going to rent it. We're going to go do this thing. So you've got your perspective. And then you literally draw out here's the property. It needs, it's $250,000. It needs $75,000 of work. That's 3 1/4 total into it. It should take us 3 months. We should be able to sell it for $499, whatever. And if we can't, and we should be able to flip that within 4 months, let's say, it'll cost us this much for commissions, this much for this much for that, this much for that. If we can't, we can rent it for this much money, and that puts the cash flow at this much. So you will either make, and we're looking for investors, and it's either the whole amount, a partial amount, what is it, what do you want to do? But this is what the turnaround is going to look like. So that's one way to go about doing it. The other way to go about, or another way to go around doing it is, hey, who do you know that wants to make name a number that wants to make $10,000 on their, ROI on their income and, or on some savings or whatever that they've got. Who do you know that wants to, have a higher ROI than what they've got? I do. Awesome. So what I'm projecting is, how much do you have that you would like to put into this? So I have two. I have a $60,000 or a $65,000 and a $15,000 one. And then on both of them, one of them is being paid interest, just a 7%. Both of them, I think, are 7%. I could be wrong on that one. No, it's 5% because it
Varies.
yeah, it was my both that I went after were both 5%, I believe, because the interest rate was so much lower at that point. You're only getting like one. One is being paid a flat interest off the entire amount. This is what the interest is. It's just divided up over the payments. The other one is every year we recalculate the interest, divide it up and pay it out. So I've got monthly payments going out to both of them. It allowed me to get the entire pool of money that I needed to go do what it is that I wanted to go do. So it's just another way. And it was just the ask. It
Yeah.
was literally just the ask. And the thing with the ask is, I think part of why I was successful with it is because I know I'm not like begging, like, can I have your money, please? I need to do something. It's not that. I'm like, do you want to make a better ROI than what you're making? Well, what are you talking? I get your money, I invest over here. You get payments every single month on this date. This is what it looks like. Yeah, I
And
want
it's
to do that.
guaranteed. And it's guaranteed.
Yeah. So there's ways to do things like, I'm sure that Kay, that conference thing you just went into how to
Yeah,
them and all that. Yeah. So there's ways to do that if they're asking questions about it. I prefer the second way because that way I've got a group of people that if I find the right property and then I can just go out and go find the right property, they're going to go do it. So I've got access to the cash in that way. And I mean, there are definitely people who, Greg and I bought this house before I paid it off. We bought this on private funds. That's how we bought it, So, and it worked out really well for us. And people were like, why would you want to pay that interest? Well, because I can't get a flipping loan right now because of the way the loan situation is set up. And I don't have enough years in my business at that point, because of switching over to Gary's team and all that. I had like 1 year in it and they wouldn't touch me. I'm like, this works beautiful for us. So it's just reaching out and making those phone calls to people. And then putting together the people that are interested in it. Once you have enough money, like, how much, what interest rate you're thinking about. I'm thinking about this much interest. How much do you want to put in? Awesome. As soon as I put together my package, I will let you know. And then once I know that I've got, in this case, I only needed, 80K or whatever. But once I know that maybe I think I need $500,000. And once I know that I've got a good 600,000 or 700,000 on the books of people who are interested, I'm going to go look for it.
And
The thing that I did-
You
thing I
definitely
did-
can post in our group. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. The thing I did wrong is this. I did not roll in the costs of fixing the property. I only put in the cost to acquire the property. And so all the repairs came out of my pocket. And I didn't realize that's a mistake I made. That's totally a mistake I made because the repairs are always twice as much more than you think they're going to be.
And if you can build in operating costs during that time, that's a really good thing to do too.
Yep. So really think about the whole thing, start to finish, with a buffer, a good enough buffer around all of it. And that is what you're asking for. If you're identifying $300,000 properties that are going to need 100K of work, that's 400. I would probably identify 500 and maybe 550 to get myself I know, but I would identify the money and I would build it in because the repairs are going to cost you more. And you should be able to walk out with something on it and you want to hedge. And after all, you're the one doing the work. All they're doing is putting in the money. You're the actual one doing the work, arranging and setting everything up and doing all that. So, and now I need to get with Gary because I have my property and I have the other one next to it and I have some options, but I need to go back in and go figure out what I want to do financially in order to be able to pay for those options on that one to get that one cash flowing also. And it needs a septic and I've got a well. I don't think I can tap it, might be able to tap into it, but the city might. county, whatever it is up there might not let me. I definitely need a septic on there. And we'll go from there. And the other septic should probably be redone at some point anyway. So maybe I'll just do both together.
Is it a
Anyway.
house or is it a mobile home?
It's in a mobile home area. It's an area where everything's mobile is up here in Florida. And the one that's on it, the one lot has one mobile home on it. That's the one I redid. So
Mhm.
that's what's already done. And then next to it is perfect for another mobile home. And then I would have two right next to it or a prefab, but the neighborhood's all mobile. It's a rural mobile. It's really rural. When I say
Yeah.
rural, I'm talking, gators all over the place. And I mean, it's rural. So.
That doesn't scare you to walk out at night and stuff like that?
She's not living there.
No,
Okay.
yeah, no. I live in suburbia outside of Orlando. This is 2.5 hours or so outside of Orlando. It's halfway between Orlando and St. Augustine is where it is.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's about an hour from St. Augustine. So it's
that's-
free, but it's out there. No, I did pay extra for the street light out there on the street light post. They'll put an extra special light on that's just on your like a floodlight kind of thing, just on your property that's got, light detectors and all that kind of stuff on it. So I did pay, there's like an extra $5 a month that you pay for that. And I'm like, oh yeah, put a big light out there. Like, at least you'll know, what to not step on out there. Yeah. Yes, that was my bit of extra safety. So anyway, so that's asking for money. And it's they're actually fun phone calls to make because I was shocked. Just like when Craig went and talked to everybody, the person about helping him, I was shocked. My first 2 phone calls, is this anything you're interested in? Yes. All right, let's go do it. It was easy. Easy. And then I've got other money that's loaned out going the other direction also. So, it's not hard. It's really not. So I highly encourage you, Kay, especially with your background, to set it when you get some time, just block out, an hour or 2 and just make some phone calls and see what you can put together. This
I'll
is
help
the
you think through it if you want, Kay.
Huh?
I'll help you think through it if you want.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
give me a holler.
I'm waiting for my contractor numbers to come in, and then I think, I was thinking about getting in touch with Greg Hoyt that presented last night, so he could tell me what he saw in terms of ARV to make sure I've got that right too.
You weren't on, San Antonio wasn't on that map. I looked.
Oh, it wasn't?
Nope. There were a couple places in Texas, but San Antonio wasn't one. If the ARVs in some of the other cities are similar, you could probably pretend, but his system's not going to work that way.
Oh, okay.
too bad. Then I would grab and see, what else is there that's comparable in your area, which is hard because you've got, the casita and everything out back. And I mean, I know they do them in Texas, but they're not everywhere in Texas.
No.
They're not.
And I know Gary's walked through how to do recognizing whether it's a flip or not, sorting through the MLS and all that stuff by how quick it's gone on, the price that it sold first and when it sold again.
Right. Yeah. It's just pulling off the MLS is pulling every single thing that's sold in that area in the last year and sorting it out by date order, putting it into a spreadsheet and sorting out by date order, which your person, once you teach her how to pull everything out of the MLS, or you pull out of the MLS, she could easily dump that into a spreadsheet for you and sort it out however you want. Because I know that spreadsheets and sorting are your most fun thing that you enjoy. And she's glaring at me. Oh my God, that was such a mom look.
Yeah.
You think about it, that was awesome.
Lately, my new challenge seems to be links. I can't get links anywhere. I put the one in and I copied it from Evaloo and I put it in, and every morning it doesn't work. So I've got to get that out. And then I go back. Fortunately, I saved her email and I now know how to go back to that original one to get into here. And then last night I couldn't find the link. I don't know what's going on with me.
Yeah.
So what I do for the links that I can, Gary's don't work like this because you have to register, blah, blah, blah. But for
Yeah.
everything else, I have one section in my notes, which means it's on all my computer, my phone, my iPad, and it literally has all the different meetings that I'm part of and the links and passwords. So all I have to do before a meeting, except for Gary's, is just literally I go to that page, I find the meeting, I click on the link. So that's what I did
And it's
because
I didn't know you could do notes on your computer and your phone. I use it on my phone all the time.
So do you have a Mac?
No,
Oh,
I
I
think
don't
you-
know if it
I
works or
think
not.
you still can. I
Okay.
don't utilize it much, but I think you can.
what
For
I was
Google.
doing was I put it in the calendar invite and at the top, and then I just click on it, and I don't know whether I copied it wrong or what, but I'll just need to redo it again for this one. But I feel like I'm just in Never Land. It's like every time I go to get on, it's like the link I have didn't work.
Never works. That's what I
the
hate
old
about it when
one.
someone, yeah, because links in Zoom, they only last so long and then that's it. The link's dead after that point. You have to do a new link. Do you have a calendar system that you use in your phone?
Yes, yeah, that's what I've been using.
Okay, so if you took them in there and copied it into there and then
Yeah.
always just go straight to your calendar, that's another way to do it. But
Yeah, that's the way I've been doing it. And that's worked really good until it's been the last day or two. It's like I was rocking along, and then the last day or two, I don't know. The universe or something is out there.
I
Try,
know it is. We stayed on the 13th floor when we were in Vegas.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. And they actually, I'm like, where, what floor? And my husband's like 13. And I'm like, they have a 13? He's like, yeah, they do. All right, 13. He goes, you realize everything's going to go to hell at this point. And then the stupid storm moved in and we had to leave. I'm like, dude, this is your fault. Oh, anyway. All right. So, Kay, are you going to search out for private money? Are you going to do it?
yes, I'm gonna do it. I've gotta get my list and get my courage up. I'm gonna go to the credit union today, and I talked with a guy yesterday. He does commercial loans, and I told him what I was doing, and he said, I don't think it'd be any problem. My problem is right now I financed all my stuff, and so my credit ratios are too high.
That's what I
So-
did too. It's exactly what I did. I put all of the repairs and everything I ran it on it, and I'm like, "Argh."
I knew I shouldn't have done it, and I did it anyway, and now I'm
I
paying.
shouldn't have done it, and they did it anyway, and now I'm like, I should call Gary and figure out what I want to do to fix it, to get that mess fixed up. Courage. You said getting your courage up. Have you guys ever done the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Here's what it is. All right, I want to make a phone call to this person, and I got to get my courage up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you're on. That's all it is. It's counting down, and at 1, you hit it. So whatever it is, because the thing of it is, we can breathe and talk and get it straight in our head and all that kind of stuff. And the feeling that we're trying to take care of by getting our courage up so that we can deal with it does not flip and go away. It does not. It just hangs out there. And it doesn't go away. And the only way to make it go away is to actually do the stupid thing that's making you crazy that that won't go away. It's just like getting on a roller coaster. When you get on a roller coaster, before the roller coaster starts, the feeling doesn't go away. The feeling gets worse. It's the thing. Once you're strapped in, you're like,
excited.
I'm like, I'm gonna die.
I
And-
love roller coasters.
I do too. And they terrify me. But that's why I love them, is because they terrify me. And I've learned now, like I have my rules, like I know I get in and like, what kind of strapping system do you have? Because that identifies, am I going upside down? Does it go over this way? Does it push you all the way in? Do they tell you put your head back? I mean, so, all right, so, okay, magnets are going to happen and all that kind of stuff. And it's the taking off thing, which is why I don't mind the chain, because you just do this for forever, right?
Yeah.
And then you do the crazy drop, and those are fine because it's just a drop and nothing's ever as crazy as that first drop. But those magnets where they suck you back, oh, every single time, and they take your picture, and I'm that person, that the feeling never goes away though when I get strapped in. Greg was so pissed at me. We went on this roller coaster and you walk in on one side, and I sat down and I'm like, nope. And he was already strapped in, and I just got up and walked down. And he was like, what the hell? It took off. I was like, can't do it, dude. I just can't. But I also made up my mind that I'm never going to do that again. Ever going to do that again. I love roller coasters. They terrify the hell out of me. I'm always going to live. I kind of analyze what it is, but it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. It just is. There's no other way around it. The feelings, the only way to get rid of the feeling is to go through the feeling. That's all it is. And since we only have, our bodies are physical, we only have a certain amount of actual physical feelings. I'm checking my calendar, make sure I'm good. Okay. The actual physical feelings that this emotional, mental body can actually experience because we're constrained by skin. And what I mean by that is the same thing of excitement when before my husband kissed me that first time, that same butterfly, oh my gosh thing, stars and all that is the same exact feeling of a roller coaster, is the same exact feeling before I see a kid fall down and get hurt. It's the same exact physical sensation of, for me personally, my breath kind of goes like this, but my tummy kind of tickles and flips and does this god awful thunk, you know? That same sensation has a lot of different emotions, but it's the same sensation. So if that's true, then I can take the same sensation and I can decide to name it any one of those things because those same thing, that same sensation happens with all of those. So instead of fear, I can name it excitement, or I can name it thrill, or I can name it, you know, energy, or whatever I want to name it. And that helps to know that for me, that feeling, what's really going on is chemicals are being released, cortisol and everything else. And those chemicals, part of it, what it does is puts me on my toes and on high alert, like high alert, like I can pay attention to what I need to focus on and everything else going around me also, because I'm like I'm vibrating with energy. And that will translate into, I'm really quick on my toes and I can answer your questions and I can pivot and I can respond and I can adapt and I can shift and all those kinds of things. And I don't ever want to lose that. That's a good thing. So I rename it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I go in and go do it. And I know that I'm going to be okay on the other side. It's not an alligator. It's not going to eat me.
I don't know. Kathy's cat may eat you. That's a big cat.
Yeah.
That is a big guy.
It definitely build muscles, I'll tell you.
I
I have a thought, and it kind of went when you started doing this. Do we have a second?
We do. I do.
Okay.
If y'all do, you all do too. It's up to you guys, but I know I definitely do. Okay.
The first thing I wanted to ask Kay is, are you doing this alone? I mean, is there anybody around you when you're getting ready to call?
No,
Okay. When you were doing the roller coaster, I started thinking about when I took other people with me that were first time. So it's usually a kid, right? And they were terrified, just like you're talking about, excited, but terrified. Well, part of the thing when I'm talking to somebody like that is that I say, okay, here's the rules. On this ride, part of what you have to do after you get buckled in and all that is scream at the top of your lungs as much as you want to. Okay? Because
Hang on,
it's
that's beautiful right there. In
Mhm.
that, the thing that people are afraid of is I'm going to look like an idiot and scream. And you've just told them you must do this as much as you want. You're in control.
right. And what I
Okay.
was just thinking is if there's no one around and Kay's comfortable with this, you're scared to do this. Instead of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, scream for as long and loud as you
Yes.
need to and want to.
You must.
Yeah, you have to do this, and then you call the next person.
Oh, Kathy, I flipping love
Scream
that.
therapy.
I'm a pretty good screamer. My kids can tell you that.
That works.
I can just see my neighbors calling 911. There's all this screaming going on next door. I don't know what it is. It's me. I'm asking for money. I love that. I really do.
Anyway, it's just a thought.
You
Oh,
must, Kathy, can I steal
It'll
that?
definitely shake up my brain.
Yeah, well, it also kind of clears everything out. 5,
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, 1 for me wouldn't change anything. It would just be, okay, fine. I might as well do it at 5 because by the time I got down to 1, it's not going to make any difference for me.
Doesn't.
But if you're doing something like that, it's physical and it's in a way, it's kind of like deep breathing because you're letting it out. You know,
Yeah.
and if you do deep breathing and things like that, meditation, that would work too. But this is something that's just quick and, you know, it's there. I mean, it kind of, like I said, releases that anxiety, in my opinion.
It's a good idea.
I love it. I really do. May I steal this concept?
Do I get co-credit?
I wrote your name down on my little sticky.
There you go. Credit on a sticky.
That's right.
Yep.
Sure.
Awesome sauce. Here's how it works in life, aside from writing a book where you do credit people. And I do want to do that, which is why I was like, I want to borrow this. Is the first time you ever hear it, you always credit the person that told it to you. The second time you're like, somebody told it to me. The third time, it's all yours. You go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do love that. I love that it's the rule and you must do the very thing that you're afraid of doing that people don't want to do because it makes you look like a fool or whatever it makes you look like. And and then you add the control piece on the end of it, as long as you want. That is a very beautiful thing. So.
And on the roller coaster, you know, I'm there, so I nudge, you got to scream. You aren't screaming yet, you know.
No worries there on that one with me.
I always have to sit in the front. I try my best to sit in the front of the roller coaster.
The
Ah,
front or the back.
you in the back?
I
The
never do
front
the
or the
back.
back?
I love the front.
Okay, so do you guys know the Aerosmith Rock and Roller roller coaster? That one? That's it, the Disney parks, the whatever. Okay, so
haven't
it's a
been in a
magnet
while.
one. The magnet one, and they play Aerosmith music, which I was not a fan of until the roller coaster. Now I love because it's perfect for a roller coaster, I'm telling you. But they play different Aerosmith songs in your head. Anyway, so when we were in France, the rules are a little different, but anyway, we rode that roller coaster something like 9 times, right around, over and over and over and over and over. And we found out how to bypass most of the line. So once we did that, we were like, we're there, man. Anyway, we rode it 9 times. But the last time we rode it, we were the only people on the roller coaster. That's it. They let my husband and I go, and that was it. But we rode it in the front and the middle and the back. We tried out every position that you could possibly try out on that roller coaster. And the middle is the most boring part, I'm telling y'all guys. It really, really is. The front has its own thing because you can see everything that's coming at you, but the back whips you big time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they both, so I highly encourage you, if you're a front seater, to ride in the back one time in the very, very back to get the feeling, especially if you can do it on the same roller coaster and you can really compare the 2 different things to it. So
Got it.
So where would you
Back are
put the
great.
person like me who, when they get on a roller coaster, they strap themselves in, they look, and then they grab on, close their eyes, and get through the ride?
The middle.
the middle, right in the middle. You might as well, since you're not gonna take advantage of it, might as well put your butt in the middle of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then roller coasters, do you just ask Craig to be in the front? Like,
Yeah.
oh,
I usually just try to make my way to the front and ask, can I sit in the front.
and do they turn you down?
Most of the time, no.
See?
Unless it's someone that just loves the front.
Yeah.
Right.
Like me.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, like in the Disney parks, we just say, well, can we just wait one round?
Yeah.
And then do it? Yeah. It's just asking. It's the same thing. Just ask.
It's
all
like
you
2
gotta do is
seconds
ask.
for the ride to get done.
Exactly. It's not much to it at all. So you can ride where you want to on a roller coaster almost all the time. And besides, the person that's working there, that's working on a coaster, I mean, I don't want to sound horrible and it's going to sound horrible, but truly, and I reckon this back to when I did it, it's minimum wage employee. They don't care. When I was minimum wage employee, I didn't care. Does it make you happy? Great. Let's go do it. You know what I mean? And anyone that really, like, go find another minimum wage employee, because there's probably another one standing around and go, hey, look, I want to go do this. You know, they don't care. My husband he's never worked a real job, because he's just always been an entrepreneur. And so I was like, well, but they'll sound like they're minimum wage. They don't care. Trust me on this one. And really today, they really don't care anymore. And it's not a reflection. There's just there's a big, huge movement. Act your wage is what the movement is, which is better than the quiet quitting, which is what it used to be, which I really don't care for on quiet quitting. I don't like that concept. I get it, don't like it. But the act your wage,
I don't like that either.
I do get a bit of that one, and here's why. It's not, so I really studied quiet quitting when it was going on. So it's right when we were joining this team when the quiet quitting started to go on. Do you guys know what quiet quitting is? Quiet quitting, Kate, is when someone just sort of stops doing their work and they just do the bare minimum and that's it. I mean,
Oh,
on
okay.
every level. Yeah, okay, so it's that. And I was really studying it because we were getting ready to build this team and quiet quitting was a thing and the pandemic and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I really want to wrap my brain around it. It's not, it's bad management. It's really bad. When you're underneath really bad leadership, you don't care. And I don't blame you. But I also don't feel the answer is to quiet quit. I feel like the answer is to go find something else where you're underneath good leadership and work with good leadership. It's that. So that's kind of the other side of it. The act your wage thing, again, it's bad leadership, because if it was really good leadership, they would look at you and they would say, I think that you're really going to be good at this. And they would help you grow towards that. And if you're not the kind of person, I'm going to go back and hit it a different direction. Mike Reams was the very first person I ever brought on as a team leader, the first person I ever recruited. He's in Virginia. Feel free to reach out to him if you ever want to. Mike Reams, R-E-A-M-E-S. I adore this guy. Anyway, he called me up one day and he talked to me and he goes, he hired Tiffany to be his transaction coordinator. Tiffany can handle 50 or more open files at any given time. Like, this girl's a rock star by herself. She's really, really good at what she does, right? Anyway, and he came to me and he goes, I've had Tiffany a year. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, should I give her a raise? And I'm like, yes. And he goes, how can you just say that? Like, you haven't asked me anything about it. And I'm like, is Tiffany talent? And he goes, yes. I go, does Tiffany deserve a raise? And he's like, well, yes. And I'm like, if Tiffany doesn't deserve a raise every single year, you should fire Tiffany. Like, literally, if you're not working with people that deserve that every single year, you should not have those people working for you. You just shouldn't, because you're settling at that point. Now, is that their fault? No, it's your fault if you hired them. It's your fault if you hire someone and you don't pour into them and you don't do everything you can to lift them up and try and work with them and do all that stuff. And the bottom line is, you hired them. So it's not like you go around just firing everybody. You work your socks off to make sure, because what you're really saying is, I made a mistake. You didn't make a mistake. I made a mistake. And it's okay to fire people, but you got to make sure it's not your fault that you did not support them or give them the tools they need or whatever it is that you didn't do. You need to make sure that part's first. So yeah, I'm a firm. That's why I am like, maybe you should act your wage. But what is your real wage? Am I lifting you up? Because then I can lift you up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Kathy's still looking at me a little like, I don't know if I like that one.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
The act your wage
Mm-hmm.
all by itself, I'm not happy with people. I don't like people a whole lot, I guess, to be quite honest. But if you go around, people are getting uglier and uglier and uglier. And I feel like act your own wage gets right in that. Instead of being grateful that you have that and working towards something else, it's like being pissed off at the world because you're there and they owe you. And I don't get, that's not right. I
Can I
don't
say
owe
something?
anybody anything. What?
So, I hear that a lot. I don't get the pissed off people. I don't encounter racist people. I don't encounter the assholes. And it's because I changed my attitude.
Well, yeah.
I don't think about it anymore. I have, and this comes from, I'm not saying anything about you. I had Gina knows kind of what I'm talking about, because I was in a really bad place before. But I noticed when I changed my perception and my attitude, hardly ever do I cross those people's paths. My wife, we can go to a restaurant, her dinner is always wrong. It's always hers. Me and my son, our dinner is right. Ours is perfect every time. 1 out of 10, something is wrong with me and my sons. And I told my wife, I was like, it's you're attracting it.
Mm-hmm.
And she listened to me and she started before we got to the restaurant, because she would say things before we got to the restaurant, like, oh my, something's gonna go wrong or something, something simple, but
Right.
the universe gives us what we think about.
Oh,
we're
yeah,
attracted-
and I agree with you, Craig.
Yeah.
I really do.
I know people are, I'm not being naive that people are not that way, but I'm just saying, like, I hardly ever encounter those people.
I don't either.
I encounter them, but I don't let them do that to me, I guess is the thing. So it's like when we were talking that one time about the long line at Walmart and the cashier that was brand new and the people complaining behind
Mhm.
and about how slow she was and stuff like that. And instead of going into that, it was like, yeah, don't you remember? I think she's new. It's really, really hard when it's new. And she's got this whole line. She's got to be terrified. So I don't encourage that, but I do observe it. And
Yeah.
I don't buy into it. I just
I
see
usually
it a
miss
lot.
it. I usually miss it altogether.
Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah.
Like my wife, she'll
right.
encounter it. Like, we'll be in the same store and she sees it.
Yeah.
So-
All right.
Greg sees a lot of things also that I flat out don't see.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. And I was marveling at this trip, especially in Vegas. I was like, when we left, I was like, wow. I'm like, people were really friendly. Like, everywhere we went, people were really friendly. And then I realized, I'm like, it's not them. You showed up completely differently than you do a lot of times. I showed up friendly. And so I got friendly back. And it reminds me, like, we've been to France a lot. And the stories every time you go, before you go to France, everybody's like, oh, they're so rude, da, da, da. I have never experienced rudeness in France. I never have. People are delightful and wonderful, and shopkeepers are fabulous and friendly. And that's all I have ever experienced. And so I'm like, I'm just a blessed traveler. But also I don't see any of it. I don't see it. It doesn't exist in my world because I'm not looking for it. So it's not there. I only see the smiles and, the happy people who want to help me and all that kind of stuff. And I do, though, Kathy, I was in a really bad marriage and I saw a lot of really icky people around me. And I remember we went through so much marriage counseling trying to save that one. That was a waste. But whatever, I learned a lot. No, it was not. I am so sorry. I learned so many things. I learned a lot of things about myself. But I distinctly remember this one girl where I was like, I'm an introvert. And she goes, no, you're an extrovert. And we went back and forth. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And she goes, why do you think that? Which is the best question ever. I'm like, because I get exhausted when I'm around people. And she's like, who are you around? Well, jerks, people that he's told horrible things and smeared campaign me who don't like me. And I'm like, a bunch of people who really don't like me. And she was like, well, it exhausts anybody. Go get other people. And I remember like, oh, I never thought about that, because all I ever did was like turn the mirror on myself and said, you're wrong, you're bad, you're evil, you're whatever these things are, nobody like da, 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 da. And instead of going, wait, that's not me, that's not who I am. So it really was if I'm around, because people will wear me down, but I don't want to be around the people that wear me down. And if before I'm making a phone call, I'm dreading making that phone call because the person on the other end is not motivated or doesn't want to do anything. And it's me trying to drag them into getting into doing what they said that they wanted to do originally, but I seem to care a whole hell of a lot more than they care. I don't want that person anymore. And I'm sorry, I just don't. The way this business works is this: you have to work your ass out. That's what it looks like. You have to go outside your comfort zone. You got to do things you probably don't want to do in order to get the places where you want to get, in order to do what it is you want to do. And if you're not willing to at least meet me halfway on some level, I don't want to drag you. I just don't. So
Right.
I don't want to. And so I cut it out completely, where I'm like, if I have to dread because of, I'm just not going to do it. Just not going to. And so I'm like, I'm here and available. If you decide that you want to do this, I'm here. But if you don't. And so now when I'm recruiting, bring people or whatever, if I get the sense that you have no interest in growing on any level, not great, you go stay over there. I'll drip campaign you if you ever want to change, that's cool. But I'm not gonna talk you into it, because I'm not gonna drag somebody onto the team that doesn't want to do something cool. I don't care anymore. So there
Well,
you
that
go.
makes sense.
Yep, I just want to be around good people. And what I mean by that, I don't mean people, I mean people who are real and want to grow and they're just real. That's really all I give a crap about. Actually, I just want to be around those
Well,
people.
you want to be around people that are like-minded and lift you up, and you lift them up. You know, it's a group thing.
Yeah.
You
And,
know?
yep. And yeah. And people who are, I'm okay if someone's in a bad place, as long as they're very real and they want to do something. And they want to do something. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
As
okay
long
with
as
that.
not all the time that they're there, then it's understandable.
No,
if-
because you're constantly in a bad place all the time, 24/7, and nothing changes. You need to look in the mirror. You need
Mhm,
to look in the
yeah,
mirror. You really,
definitely.
yep. So anyway,
I
yeah,
literally
exactly.
I literally get the strangers that walk up to me and tell me their problems.
Uh-huh.
You know, they'll just like pour out to me, like,
Mhm.
you know. So that drains me. That's why I'm an introvert. Because you know, I listen to people's issues and stuff. So I just have to kind of, you know, I digress. So I love my alone time.
I love my alone time too. If it drains you, are you okay with that? Or do you want to have a boundary around that?
I do have boundaries now.
Okay.
Yeah.
right,
Because
cool,
the
babe.
same person can't continue coming to me with that, you know.
No, reality therapy, those people.
Yeah.
If it's the same thing all the time, reality therapy, and because they do have an answer, they need to work on.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're the center of the known universe and your universe sucks, you're the center of the known universe, your universe sucks. You
Yeah.
know?
So by the
Yeah.
time I encounter people all day, you know, I just want to come home, go out in the woods and, you know, stay there by myself and be quiet.
Maybe, maybe you're an empath and you
Yeah.
soak up all their stuff.
Yeah.
So I love that you have that special gift, because it is a special gift that complete strangers can come into and kind of really go down to that level. And they must sense that you're a listener or something like that. And everybody has gifts like that. So I wonder what you can do to use to be able to find the strength in that and the good in that, to be able to use that also.
Mhm.
In that, one of my gifts is that if I'm talking with somebody, they will just pour out stuff. Here's what I hear all the time. I have never told anybody this. And I hear it all the time. And maybe people, I don't know, it doesn't seem like everybody would just say it, but I get it a lot. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
a
do I.
lot. Yeah. And I don't know what that is, but I liken it to, well, okay, now I'm old school. I'm like Barbara Walters. Everybody, and everybody's cried also. Like when I was a team leader, 100 and plus agents in the office and a box of Kleenex right in the center of my table, because every single person without fail has been in my office crying at some point. They just have. And it's okay, because we're real and this gets hard sometimes. And, and sometimes we shed some tears and then we kick our butts and then we go out there and go, tear hell out of the world again. And
Yeah.
it's okay, but it's real. It's very real. And that
And
part of it.
Sometimes I wonder how I can, I wonder how I can use it in business and then like manipulate it.
In a good way. Use your powers
In a
for
good
good.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you are already partway on the key with what you've learned about asking. Do you not think this? Or do you think?
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you already have the gift to be able to get down to a person on a very real level very, very quickly. They trust you instinctually. So since they trust you instinctually, and now you know about the power of asking, play with that in a while. There's something in there. So play with that.
Okay. Yeah, because I actually said I was gonna continue doing that, asking people for directions. So
Have you thought about putting together people for money to invest?
I hadn't.
it's a good thing to do when I need to do it again too. I do have some people out there, and I do a tiny little bit of investing myself, but I don't have a lot of funds to work with. So it is literally a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
So if your paradigm is, people trust me instinctually. I work for good because I already know you. I know that about you. I work for good. And the world wants to help me because that's the asking part we're already doing. If that's a bit of your paradigm, you could, what could you not do with that, Craig?
Yeah. So I guess the fear on the other end stops me.
That's when you scream.
You're right.
Fear stops, Craig, the fear stops everybody.
Yeah.
Not, okay, no, that's not true. 95 or 7 or 2 or 8 or whatever percent of the world, the huge portion of the world allows fear to stop them. They
Others are-
allow that. And
Yeah.
so there's a decision, decide, Latin to cut off. There's a decision to not let it stop you anymore. And it's a decision that you make. I'm no longer going to allow this thing. What I want to do is too big that helps too many people, including myself. I get to help myself too. You love other people as you love yourself. It helps too many people, including myself, do the amazing, magical, wonderful, fabulous things you want to do. And I'm just going to say it, plug your ears if you don't want to hear it. Fuck fear. Literally. Done. Yes, it's going to sit there and it's going to try and gnaw at you, but that's all you are, is some little yappy, I don't know, chihuahua. Get the hell away from me. I'm doing it anyway.
And I think, well, I know fear is multiple different things. It might not be that you're terrified. It might be that you're afraid of what you'll get, or you're afraid that you won't be able to handle what you get,
Yeah, I
Or-
think that's it.
or
Yeah.
some aspect.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. So I had this stupid fear because I'm finishing up my classes this week. And I'm competing for Toastmasters, so I got to get that done because that's the following Saturday. So I've got this upcoming week to get those 2 things completely done off my plate, because after that, it's moving into videos. But the video part terrified me. And when I really sat down and was like, what is going on? Why in the hell? Because I'm on video with y'all all the damn time. Like, who cares, right? It's camera, whatever, right? What terrified me is that I'd be speaking in front of it. This is so stupid. When I played it all in my head, I'm like, what if I was speaking in front of 50,000 people in a stadium? I was like, oh, and then I'm like, okay, hang on, that's part of what's underneath it. So there's a fear of success. And then I was like, is that going to happen today? No. Is that going to happen tomorrow? Probably not. Is that going to happen next week? Probably not next week either. So can you deal with it as it happens? Is anyone going to dump success like a dump load of gold coins on you in one fill? Like, is a dumpster going to come in here and throw gold coins on the top of me? No, it's not. And that would bury me if it happened right now. It's going to come incrementally, and the opportunities will happen when I'm in a place to receive them. And so
And-
I just have to make sure that I'm like this.
And why are you afraid of success? That's another part of that.
Yeah,
Why?
why was I afraid? I was really terrified of speaking. For me personally, I don't know Craig's answer. Maybe Craig's answer is more interesting.
I think it's the fear of the unknown. You know, even thinking of being wildly successful. I think just knowing that, or maybe not being comfortable, you know, out of the comfort zone,
Mhm.
and not knowing what comes along with it.
You're muted, Kay.
Maybe she's muted to talking to a kid. Oh, no, there we go. Okay.
For me, I'm afraid if I'm ultra successful, I'll let somebody down because I can't do it fast enough or good enough.
And you want to know what mine is?
Yes.
That I'm not good enough for it. I don't deserve it.
Hmm.
It's that self-doubt.
I'm
And I
just
know
worried
it's
about
not
the
true.
negative impact I'll have on somebody else, but your self-doubt, gosh.
And I know it's not true, but I know it's there.
I'm scribbling this down as fast as I can, because
Because it's
Don't
recorded,
realize-
right?
well, yeah, it is actually. And I'm like, wait, are we? Because part of why I love this group is your guys, what we're talking about, everything here, what we talk here is at least 50% of what I'm building into my classes, because it's universal. And there's touch points that we're hitting on. And I hadn't thought about building in this part of it, but this is very, very, very good.
And see, I know what mine stems from is the crap, basically from part of my childhood and my marriage and things that have sprung from that. But I know better. It's
I
just,
know.
it's, it's just, I know it's there.
Getting it down here.
Mhm.
The book that deals with that a lot is Psycho-Cybernetics, which is not an easy read. Just because it was written in the 60s, it doesn't feel like a book written today. But the basic thing in Psycho-Cybernetics is when you have that dichotomy of I don't feel, which by the way, Kathy, is underneath most of us, is I don't feel like I'm good enough. And it stems from whatever's happened to us in our past and childhood and then young adulthood. That's usually where it stems from. And it stems in what for a myriad of reasons of why it is we have that from the different things that we've had in our lives. Even like for instance, for my husband, who his dad always said, you're good enough, you can do da. But then on the other hand, and then took everything away and told him not to do it. He couldn't do it. And so he said it, but the actions were the opposite.
Right.
So, and we all have stuff like that. Is visualizing yourself, because we can't visualize it in our heads. We can't visualize it. We can't. We've not experienced it. So you can't. It's very hard to do something that you've never experienced, felt, seen, or anything. So what he had people do was just in the first thing in the morning and last thing at night, was just visualize them being very successful. So maybe it's if I was personally going to visualize myself being very successful, I would visualize myself, and I'm walking myself through this because I probably should, I should be doing this anyway, on stage in front of 50,000 people, or maybe giving a TED talk, maybe being interviewed for the book and speaking confidently and with spotlights, which I love because they're warm and I'm cold all the time. So, and having the people that I'm speaking with pay to be there, want to hear the message, and having it affect and change their lives in positive ways. So they go back and affect and change other lives in positive ways. And it's doing that for just a couple of minutes a day, first thing in the morning and first thing at night, right when you wake up and right before you go to sleep, and play with it just as if you would play a movie. And just as if you were the director of the movie, in that you can turn the camera any direction you want it to. You can bring the person in, you can soft focus everything back behind them. You can black and white, you can sharpen the colors up. You can increase the volume, like really, really play with it and continue playing it like a movie and let it go where it wants to go. That's his first step. The second step is when you get a crazy idea to go do something, don't question it, just go do it. So if that's mine, and by the way, that will be mine, if that's mine, and then all of a sudden I get this crazy idea of, you should sign up and lead a short story group, or build a Toastmasters here in my neighborhood, because there's not one anywhere near here. They're all 45 minutes away. You should do that. If I really get that feeling, I don't have that feeling, but if I really got that feeling, just go do it. Because what's happening, the brain does not know the difference between visualizing and really happening. The same synapses fire, the same neurons, the same synapses connect, the same neurons fire, the same, everything happens. All of it happens just as if, so if I picture myself kicking a soccer ball, the same part in my brain that would tell my foot, like, kick the ball now, that fires as if I just kicked the ball now. It's the same exact thing. The brain does not understand the difference between make-believe and real, as far as what's going on up inside here. It has zero difference. So what happens is the brain can't handle it has a really hard time with non-truth. The brain is like, well, this thing is true. So this thing is true, I need to go do it. This thing is true, I need to go do it. So you will start to get thoughts that will allow you to line up with the thing that you already told your brain is true, which is I can stand in front of 50,000 people confidently and have a conversation and a talk that they pay for and will help them in their lives. So I've already told myself that's true. So if it's true, then I need to go start making that thing be true. Right. There was a guy, a golf, I think it was basketball. It was a basketball experiment. they took a group of kids and they had one group practice. I forget what it was that they had to practice, but they had to practice shooting a basket, I think. And they had them practice for 3 months. They had another group who did not play any basketball, but they had to visualize it for 3 months. And they spent the same amount of time visualizing as they did practicing. And then when they tested both groups, this group actually did better. Who did not do anything with the basketball for 3 months. All they do is play it in their head and play it in their head and play it in their head. And play
Yeah, I
it in their-
remember that story. Yeah.
Yeah. It
That
is,
seems like it would be really, really hard to do.
yes. And yet, it's true.
You know, it's funny with this house. It's like when I walked, I put off seeing it, and I should have looked at it sooner, and life just got busy. And then I looked at the house and I looked at it, and when I went to open the door, it's like I said, I'm going to buy this house. And then I went and looked and I checked everything out, and then I began to see the potential. And then it's like I couldn't get the house out of my way. And then I called the guy and made an offer, and he said no. And so then I thought, okay, it wasn't meant to be. I'm going to give it up. And I couldn't get the house out of my mind. Couldn't get the house out of my mind. And so now I just have to find the money.
Yep. Yep. And if money's your problem, you don't have a problem.
Mm.
If money's your problem, you don't have a problem.
Okay.
It's true. It's really true. If that is the only thing stopping you, you don't have a problem. And here's why I say that. If you want true creativity in life, you do not just say, here's everything you need for whatever it is you want to do. Here's every single thing. It's when you constrain that you get true creativity. So what I mean by that is, tell me a story about anything. Tell me a story about a red ball. And now all of a sudden I've constrained you, and now everything opens up because you probably can picture something in your head with the red ball. There's something, right? There's something that you can picture with the red ball. Okay, you just took your house and you put it out there for multifamily, cool, and then you constrained it and said, cash only investors. Bam, it opens up. If money is the constraint, that's when true creativity happens. Because the question the mind shift needs to be not, I can't because this. How can I anyway? And all of a sudden, everything will open up. That's the magic of what this can do. Instead of I can't, whenever you hear yourself saying I can't, instead, how can I anyway? How can I? And that's right from Rich Dad Poor Dad. I can't do this because of that. How can I make it happen anyway?
Mm.
And once you shift to that, you open up your brain to start doing connections and putting together ideas and things like that. And the cool thing I just read about the brain, which I loved, we're at our peak at 39 years old. 39 years old, we think faster and quicker and sharper, and literally you're at your peak. And from that point, it's a decline as far as learning new things and being able to put those connections together. And the way that learning new things is, there's a neuron firing and a neuron firing, and a synapses is like a bridge, and that's how we learn. And when we connect things together with those synapses, that's literally a knowledge path. It's also a habit. It's a sequence, A, B, connect. Okay. At 39, they work the best that they're ever going to work. And then they go downhill. But here's what happens after that. The two sides of the brain connect in a holistic pattern. From that point on, it starts really going that direction to this holistic connection. And what that causes is wisdom, because all of a sudden you start to see very big picture of how this affects this, affects this, affects that. And instead of making these sharp little tiny connections that I pick up my pen and I can write this cool letter, look, I copied that cool letter and that's how you do it. Instead of a very specific thing, it's a very holistic thing. Wow, if I can learn how to do that, I could probably translate that into being able to draw. And from drawing, I've always wanted to paint, and then I could do that. Oh, I could bring that into the graphic design because I'm working on some logos and for my business. It's a very holistic, big picture kind of thing. And we get wisdom as we go on in our older years. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I like my wisdom. I really like my wisdom because we can see big picture now, and we can really help people in ways that they didn't, because they're really lost in this little tiny thing right here. And we're like, no, big picture, pick your head up, look at the horizon. I got all this stuff out there. So if money is your problem, you don't have a problem. You don't. And instead of I can't, just like you were doing, Kay, how can I? How can I? And then you get really creative. And that is where a lot of magic happens. And we have that because we are all, how old are you, Craig?
Well, 52 next month.
You're exactly 1 year younger than my husband. What's your birthday?
December 22nd.
Oh, you're almost a Christmas baby. He's December 2nd. This is coming up right
Okay.
around the corner. So, and then PF, how old are you?
I am 77.
Okay,
No, I'm 56.
I can't tell. You guys look young. Everybody looks at me. So okay, good. We're all in the wisdom years. So all the wisdom years. So our questions is how can I? How can I? How can I go do this thing that I want to go do? And then F fear. Because it's just a little chihuahua. That's all it is. Some little yappy, little tiny little chihuahua thingy.
And there's one more piece in there for me,
What's that?
and that is how much success do I want?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. What do you want? And by that, do you mean fortune or fame?
I don't care. Probably fortune though.
Okay. So,
How much
so,
do I want to have to deal with?
yeah, because it
How much
requires.
work? How much work do I
Because
want?
it
Mhm.
requires
Yeah.
work to have money, to be able to handle it appropriately and to be able to help people. That does require work.
Mhm.
It really does. It is not, I just read this. I really liked it too. So I've always told my kids with great privilege comes great responsibility.
Mhm.
And I've told them that their whole entire lives, this is the way it works. Don't think that if you're like the CEO of the entire company, you can do anything you want. You're underneath the crosshairs and you're walking a very fine line. And
Yeah.
you can do less. The person who's got true freedom is the guy that the minimum wage has real freedom. Nobody cares what the heck they do. They pretty much got the whole world at their feet and they can do whatever. And they're not underneath any crosshairs. But I just read in the Bible this one, and with great blessing comes great responsibility. So the word blessing, privilege, they could be interchangeable as, and also great consequences. And I was like, whoa, brain blown wide open. What I like about it is consequences can be good or bad. But with great blessings comes great responsibility. It also has great consequences. And that is the wealth and the fame part. It has great consequences and great responsibility and great privilege and blessings. It has all of that. It's an equation, and I don't believe you can take a piece out of it. Well, you can, but you won't keep the great blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the good thing is we get to define what it is you want to go after. So
Mhm.
again, you get to scream as long as you want.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yep. So, man.
Yeah.
All right, you
Got all
guys.
kinds of nuggets today, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, I have so much meat, which you guys, but was stuck. I know that I'm going to go from who to why to what. Who are you? Why is it that you want to do the things that you do? And what is it you want to do? I know that's a path of what I want to teach. This gave me a lot because I'm kind of been stuck in I got the who part, got that feeling really good. It's the why and the what part. And this is helping me a lot with, and I don't have answers, and the answers, it's not about the answers. It's about helping people on the path to figure out what their answers are. So thank you. Huge
Great.
thank you.
Yeah. And thank you all. You helped me identify a source of fear, where it comes from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I know with mine at this point in life, part of that is because, I don't really want huge success. I always just want enough, and I don't want to do something that's going to make it go more than that.
Mhm.
So I put myself in my way. I know I always have.
Yeah.
I put
Yeah,
myself in my
that will
way.
do. So spend some time maybe thinking about, I guess I would ask this. Does having this mean losing that? Is it a win-lose proposition for you? Is there a possibility to make it a win and? I don't expect an answer.
Yeah, I
spend
know in
some
my
time
head
thinking about
it's a win-lose.
Right.
I know it
So-
doesn't have to be.
Right. And I say that because when I was a little kid, a little girl, I used to like, I would literally say, this person needs help. and I will, God, you can break me to help them, whatever you want to do. I literally said, but I didn't understand, as a little tiny kid, I had a win-lose mindset. I thought that there was only this much to go around and that's it. And it's taken me, first I didn't even know I had it. And then once I figured out what it was, then I had to really wake up to the fact that this is a hugely abundant world with enough of everything for everybody. If we just like even something like food, we have more than enough food to feed every single person in the world. We can't distribute it. We can't get it from the countries that need it to the government, to those people. We have serious issues with getting that, but there is more than enough food produced in this country, in this world, for every single human being to be fat, fed, and happy. More than enough. We just screw up on getting it to them, and distributing it out. So it's an abundant world. And if it is an abundant world, then I don't have to suffer for you to have good. That is not the way the world has to work. It can, if that's my paradigm, but it does not need to be my paradigm either. My paradigm is I can help you, and this helps me, and it helps that person over there that just happens to be sitting on the sidelines watching, not really saying very much. It still is going to help them too.
Yeah.
So play with it in your head and see what you come up with. I'd be curious. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any wonderful, fabulous, this meeting went seriously overboard, but God, it was so valuable for me too. All right. All right.
I think I've divulged enough today.
You all are amazing human beings. I am so glad we are all walking hand to hand on the path that we are walking in. And you only walk with people who are walking the same direction that you're walking. So thank you for walking with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate everybody.
me too.
Yep. All right. Have a wonderful
Fantastic.
day and go bless somebody else in the same way that you've blessed me. So.
All right. Have a wonderful day, you guys.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.